Hello everybody, my name is Geert Ankart and I'm a head of sector for the Green Transition and Human Development in the Unit for Regional Programs in Latin America and the Caribbean, within the Director General for International Partnerships of the European Commission. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all to this info session. After 1 year of implementation of the EU-LAC Global Gateway Social Accelerator program, we are very happy to officially launch this call for proposals. This event and this launch marks an important milestone for the program and for our shared commitments to social innovation in Latin America and the Caribbean. The EU-LAC Global Gateway Social Accelerator is an EU regional program designed to strengthen social innovation ecosystems across the region and contribute to improved social cohesion. It forms part of the EU-LAC Global Gateway investment agenda that combines investment in a physical format with investments in human capital and enabling conditions. And this is what we call a 360-degree approach, one that aims to create sustainable local value chains. In line with this, the EU-LAC Global Gateway Social Accelerator program provides opportunities for capacity building, multi-stakeholder partnerships, third-party funding, and the scaling of social innovation solutions that drive a green, digital, just, and inclusive transition. At its core, this call for proposals seeks to support innovative solutions that respond to social challenges, promote inclusion, and contribute to sustainable and equitable development under the EU-LAC Global Gateway investment agenda. With this initiative, the European Commission is opening the door to a wide range of actors, civil society organizations, public institutions, and private non-profit actors that work to generate a positive social impact. We strongly encourage a variety of proposals that reflect the innovation potential of the region in the social sector. And we are very much looking forward to receiving a strong and diverse set of proposals and to continuing to build together an ecosystem of social innovation between the European Union, Latin America, and the Caribbean partners. I am pleased to hand over to the Chamber of Commerce in Santa Cruz, Bolivia, CAINCO, the leader of the implementing consortium of the program, and who will be leading today's session and presenting the call in more detail. Thank you very much for being with us, and we wish you a very productive session.
Thank you, Geert, for your welcoming remarks and for clearly outlining the scope of the EU-LAC Social Accelerator, the Inclusive Societies Regional Initiative, and for reaffirming the European Union's continued commitment to the sustainable development of Latin America and the Caribbean. My name is Leo Naut. I'm Deputy Executive Director of Caribbean Export Development Agency, one of the implementing partners of the EU-LAC Social Accelerator. On behalf of the entire implementing consortium, which is led by CAINCO in Bolivia, we welcome you to this informational session for the first call of proposals for third-party financing. As Geert mentioned, this program is part of a regional initiative funded by the European Union within the framework of the Global Gateway Investment Agenda. The objective of this session is to provide a clear, structured, and transparent information about the program. We will also cover its strategic context, the guidelines for the call, the application process, and the general criteria to be considered by the interested stakeholders. This session is strictly informative and seeks to ensure equal access to information for all potential applicants. Let's take a deep dive in. To begin, it is important to understand the objectives of the program, as all proposals must align with this framework. As Geert mentioned in his remarks, the overall objective of the EU-LAC Social Accelerator is to promote social innovation, the resilience of social systems, and a just, socially responsible, and inclusive green and digital transition within Latin America and the Caribbean. At the specific objective level, the program seeks to improve social innovation ecosystems in the LAC countries by promoting effective collaboration between the public sector, the private sector, and the civil society. This translates into the creation of mechanisms that contribute to reducing structural inequalities and strengthening social cohesion, all while keeping a clear focus on youth, women, and groups in vulnerable situations, which is very much in consonance with the Global Gateway Investment Agenda. The regional action strengthens the social dimension of the Global Gateway Investment Agenda, ensuring that green and digital transitions in our region are also inclusive, fair, and people-centered. The Social Accelerator program promotes social innovation as a driver to reduce inequalities, empower local ecosystems, and improve opportunities for women, youth, and groups in vulnerable situations in Latin America and the Caribbean. The EU-LAC Social Accelerator is directly linked with the Global Gateway Investment Agenda, complementing these investments from a social perspective. It does not finance infrastructure, but rather it seeks to ensure that these investments generate impact for people, territories, and inequality reduction. For this reason, all proposals under this call must be clearly linked or contribute to the thematic initiatives under the EU-LAC Global Gateway Investment Agenda, demonstrating how they support a green and digital transition that is just and inclusive, all while enabling a more equitable and sustainable development in the region. This alignment is a crucial eligibility factor in our evaluation criteria. As you can see, the EU-LAC Social Accelerator is implemented by a regional and international consortium composed of high-level strategic partners. This consortium includes Tecnalia, the Confederation of Trade and Businesses Associations of Brazil, CACB by its acronym, the Tecnológico de Monterrey, the International Trade Center, and of course our team here at Caribbean Export. Leading this consortium is CAINCO, who coordinates the implementation of the program and the actions of the other implementing partners. The combined strengths of these partners are essential to the program's implementation and are reflected in the 4 components that we will cover next. To understand how the EU-LAC Social Accelerator is organized, it is helpful to look at these 4 main components that guide all program actions and activities. The first component focuses on institutional strengthening through the development of strategic tools to establish and consolidate social innovation poles in countries across Latin America and the Caribbean. The second component focuses on strengthening the capacities of enterprises and entrepreneurs by supporting innovative, sustainable, digital and green initiatives with social impact, with special attention to women, youths, and groups in vulnerable situations. The third component seeks to improve financing and investment opportunities by supporting social innovation projects aligned with the Global Gateway Investment Agenda. The fourth and final component focuses on enhancing collaboration and coordination between public and private initiatives across the European Union, Latin America, and the Caribbean by strengthening networks, improving synergies, and enabling cooperation spaces. As you can see, each result reinforces the other, contributing to a more connected, capable, and inclusive social innovation ecosystems throughout Latin America and the Caribbean. Turning now to the guidelines of the first call, it is important to explain the basis on which this process has been designed. The call has been structured in accordance with Chapter 6 of the European Union's Practical Guide, also known to some of us as PRAG, which establishes the principles of transparency, competition, equal treatment, and traceability in EU-funded programs. In addition, the call is governed by the guideline for Call 1-2026 of the EU-LAC Social Accelerator program, which are already available and will be there as reference for applicants. Both instruments ensure that this process is clear, predictable, and aligned with the high standards championed by the European Union. This competitive process is structured and sequential, meaning that we go from the start of the call to the signature of the grant contracts to the implementation of the selected projects. The publication of the guidelines kickstarted the process, which opens the application phase. This is where you submit your applications and proposals. Once the call closes, we move through the different stages of evaluation and selection. The process concludes with the signing of the grant contracts, and from there, the selected projects will start their implementation. This design ensures an orderly, competitive, and merit-based process. With this general framework in mind, now let's take a look at how interested organizations can apply. Applications are submitted exclusively in digital format through the CAINCO online platform. Interested entities must access the CAINCO website through the banner that they have in their homepage or directly access the application system shown here on screen. Through this platform, interested stakeholders can consult the details of the call, create a user account, and upload your respective proposal. Once inside the system, the application process takes place in 2 clear steps. First, we start with the applicant registration. This is where you provide your organization's general information, including contact details, your technical and financial capacity, along with the supporting documents needed to create your account in the system. Then you move on to proposal registration. Here's where you upload your project's concept note, complete the application form, and submit your logical framework, your budget, required declarations, and any other required documents set out in the program guidelines. Once you have completed these steps, your proposal is formally submitted through the system. So congratulations. When the application period closes, proposals move into the evaluation process, which is carried out in stages based on objective criteria. This slide recaps in a more visual way what we just covered. So, just to circle back. First, the applicant registers by completing the required information and uploaded the requested documents to create an account. Second, the applicant then will log into that account in the platform to complete and upload the proposal and all of the components mentioned earlier. The process is entirely online and allows applicants to save your progress before completing your submission. Having covered this, let's move forward onto how proposals are evaluated. Once the application phase closes, proposals move into the evaluation process. The process is carried out at a single level, meaning it only considers complete proposals. If something is missing, it cannot be considered. An evaluation committee has already been established, which is comprised by consortium partners and operating under specific rules and guidelines. Each proposal is assessed by 2 independent evaluators of this committee, and awards are based on the average score received. It is important to note that this is strictly a merit-based, objective, and transparent process. Let us now look at how the evaluation process is structured and its different stages. The evaluation and selection process is carried out in 3 main stages, allowing proposals to move progressively from an initial review to the final validation of the selected projects. These stages ensure that proposals first comply with the formal requirements, then with the technical criteria, and finally with the eligibility conditions set out in the call. Let us explain what is reviewed at each of these stages. In stage 1, an administrative verification is carried out. This consists of a formal check to confirm that the proposal has been submitted correctly and that it complies with the basic requirements set out in our guidelines. At this stage, the concept note is also assessed and proposals that meet the requirements are pre-selected. Step 2 focuses on the evaluation of the full application, where the technical, financial, and quality aspects of the proposal are assessed, leading to provisional selection based on the score obtained. Finally, in stage 3, the eligibility of applicants and co-applicants is validated on the basis of the required supporting documents that you submitted with your proposal. This process ensures a rigorous and transparent selection aligned with the European Union standards. Let's now move into the technical guidelines of the call. This call was launched on January 19th, 2026, and the application deadline is set for April 8th, 2026. For this call, a total grant envelope of 1.8 million euros is available. Each project may request a minimum grant of 100,000 euros and a maximum amount of 250,000 euros. Each project will need to have co-financing, which can range from 50 to 95% of the total action cost. Project duration must be set for 18 or 24 months, depending on the scope and the design of each proposal. Having covered these financial and timeline details, now let's move to the central objective of the call. The objective of this call is to contribute to the reduction of structural inequalities in Latin America and the Caribbean by supporting social innovation initiatives aimed at reducing poverty, social exclusion, and strengthening social cohesion in the region. All initiatives must be aligned with the EU-LAC Global Gateway Investment Agenda by contributing to its social dimension and enabling a green and digital transition that is fair and inclusive. Priority will be given to actions targeting women, youth, and groups in vulnerable situations that promote transformative solutions with sustainable impact. To facilitate this alignment, applicant entities may consult the reference links detailing the list of global gateway priorities by country and other complementary information to better frame proposals within the respective national contexts. These links are available in the call guidelines. Under this call, what we mean by supporting a project under the EU-LAC Global Gateway Investment Agenda is that the action that you are proposing contributes directly or indirectly to one of the more areas identified in the agenda from a social perspective. Having settled that, let's now see the sectors and themes under which proposals may be framed. Proposals may address one or more of the following thematic areas. These are framed as priority sectors, but please note they're not exhaustive or exclusive and must always be approached from a social cohesion and inequality reduction perspective, while always incorporating an intersectional approach. For example, you can frame your proposal under gender equality and youth empowerment, education and skills development to improve opportunities, decent work, labor formalization, employability, and social inclusion, the role of the private sector in promoting human rights, social innovation as a tool for inclusion, or care and well-being societies, particularly in vulnerable contexts. Organizations may combine these themes provided that the proposal maintains a clear social impact focus aligned with the objectives of the call. In line with the sectors and themes reviewed, the call prioritizes initiatives that directly contribute to the objectives of the EU-LAC Global Gateway Investment Agenda by reinforcing its social dimension. In particular, proposals that translate this strategic alignment into concrete and transformative actions will be highly valued. These could be actions promoting the economic and social inclusion of people in vulnerable situations and underserved communities. It could also be initiatives promoting inclusive and sustainable business and investment models with clear social impact. Actions aimed at strengthening the scalability or the sustainability of social innovation solutions. Or they could also be actions contributing to equity and institutional strengthening to ensure lasting impact. Regardless of the direction you choose, these actions must clearly demonstrate how they generate social value and contribute to the program's objectives. To help guide you, this slide presents examples of these types of activities that may be eligible. This is not an exhaustive list, but rather a set of examples to support the design of your proposal. Eligible activities can include technical assistance and specialized consultancies to improve the management, sustainability, and scalability of social initiatives, capacity building and training actions aimed at transferring knowledge, skills, and methodologies, initiatives that facilitate access to network and resource mobilization, which improves visibility and access to financing or investments, innovation, scalability, and sustainability actions to design, consolidate, or expand innovation social solutions, advocacy, public policy, and social governance actions to strengthen institutional environments and promote inclusive and sustainable policies. As mentioned, proposals may combine several of these types of activities, provided that they remain coherent with the objectives of the call and maintain a clear social focus. All sectors, actions, and activities proposed must be directly linked with the program's logical framework. Each activity should clearly show which social accelerator indicator it contributes to and what measurable results it generates in terms of social cohesion, inclusion, and strengthening of social innovation ecosystems. Let's take a look at those logical framework indicators so you can align your proposals. This slide presents the Social Accelerator's logical framework indicators to which proposals under this call must contribute to. Don't fret, you don't need to memorize all of these indicators shown here. Full details and definitions are available in the call guidelines published on January 19th. So feel free to reference back to those documents. What really matters is that your proposal clearly shows how its activities lead to concrete results in strengthening social cohesion, supporting social innovation initiatives and hubs, delivering direct benefits to people in vulnerable situations and underserved communities, strengthening the social innovation ecosystem, and improving access to financing. During the evaluation, particular attention will be given to how clearly you link your proposed activities, the results you expect to achieve, and the relevant logical framework indicators. Let's move now to a key aspect of the call: who can apply? In this first call, legally established nonprofit organizations based in Latin America and the Caribbean or in a European Union member state may submit proposals. At least one applicant organization must be established in Latin America or the Caribbean to ensure territorial relevance. Applications must be submitted as a consortium, meaning that individual organizations cannot apply on their own and must partner with at least one eligible co-applicant in line with the call guidelines. Projects eligible under this call are those whose activities are clearly aligned with the objectives of the EU-LAC Social Accelerator program and the priorities set out in this call for proposals. Projects primarily focus on individual aid, scholarships, one-off events, isolated activities, institutional running costs, infrastructure or equipment without a capacity development component, or direct financing to individual companies will not be eligible. This call prioritizes comprehensive action that takes a social innovation approach and aims for structural impact. We have covered what is eligible under this call for proposals. Now let's take a look at what costs would not be considered eligible. These would be debt interest or provision for losses or other future liabilities, costs that are already being financed by other EU programs or grants, the purchase of land or buildings, the purchase of office equipment or computers, exchange rate losses, loans or financing to third parties. Basically, your budget should only include costs that are directly linked to the implementation of the action and that comply with all of the requirements set out in the call for proposals. Although we have mentioned this throughout the presentation, we would like to stress two criteria that must be met to be successful under this call. First, proposals must clearly demonstrate alignment with the EU-LAC Global Gateway Investment Agenda for the country of implementation. Second, proposals must show a direct and measurable contribution to reducing structural inequalities through social innovation actions that reduce poverty and exclusion and strengthen social cohesion. Both elements are central to our evaluation. Let us now explain the expected scope of the project submitted under this call. When designing your proposal, organizations should combine the planned activities appropriately based on what the real needs of the final beneficiaries are. Proposals are not required to cover all components or activities mentioned in the call. However, it is important to keep in mind that one of the evaluation criteria will be the project contribution to the program indicators. For this reason, we recommend clearly aligning your activities and expected results with the priorities of the Global Gateway Investment Agenda to ensure coherence, focus, and most of all, impact. So we have talked about several dates. Let's recap these into a functional timeline. The call was launched on January 19th. Applicants seeking clarification on any aspect of the call for proposals may contact CAINCO until March 10th. Responses will be provided by CAINCO by March 16th on any inquiries that it receives. The biggest date to remember is that the application deadline is April 8th, 2026 at 4 p.m. Bolivia time. For those that keep European time, that is 16 hours. Evaluation results will be communicated between May and June of this year. Contract signature is planned for June 30th, and projects are expected to start in July of 2026. You are encouraged to review this timeline carefully and take note of the dates. We've covered a lot of information, and to conclude, we really want to thank you for your interest in the EU-LAC Social Accelerator call for proposals. This is a concrete opportunity to strengthen social innovation initiatives that contribute to a greener, more digital, just, inclusive, and people-centered transition in Latin America and the Caribbean. We encourage you to carefully review the call guidelines and to submit strong, well-aligned, and proposals that deliver real impact. Thank you very much for your attention, and we wish you the best of luck.